morning, friends. Welcome back to the Field and Garden Podcast. It's your host, Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm really glad you've decided to join me again here today. And this is a podcast about all things cut flowers, growing cut flowers, selling cut flowers, managing cut flowers, and we talk about many different aspects of flower-based businesses, right? Whether you're a farmer florist, a florist that's using locally grown product, and we give you deep dives on how you can start, ramp up, and build your business over time. And today, I want to focus on cut flower growers. We're kind of the root of the whole industry, right? So I did a Facebook Live, and I called it Flower Farming Mythbusters. And what it's all about is I hear from so many people, well, I can't, I've always wanted to be a flower farmer, but I don't have a greenhouse, so I can't, or I don't have a tractor, so I really couldn't do it. I hear this list of reasons why people think they can't do it. And I understand where they're coming from. I felt exactly the same way, friends. And I'm now going into year 24, I think. And I still don't have a green or a hoop house. I'm an urban farmer located in the middle of the city. And I've kind of made lemonade out of lemons. And there are many other people just like me that are doing the very same thing. So this is a replay of a portion of that webinar of me talking about some of these reasons that folks think they can't pursue their flower farming dream. And friends, I remember so well pulling out of my driveway when I still had my full-time day job, looking back over my shoulder at my gardens and thinking of my dog in the house now for several hours until I returned home from work. And, that was when I decided I have got to find a way to stay home and make my career working in a garden. And y'all, that's what I did. And there's no more unlikely suspect than me. I was a city girl that was barely a gardener. I lived back then, we only had 1.25 acres, and that included my house and our buildings. I had no tractor, no cooler, no hoop or greenhouses. And friends, for the first decade of my business, we were producing thousands of stems from those 2 little gardens each week in season and doing it successfully. And so this is hopefully a little power shot into your arm of invigorating you to know that you can start, because now is the time to strike. We are at the beginning of October. We're at the beginning of flower farming school enrollments, as well as farmer florist school and florist school. Currently, my course, Flower Farming School, The Basics, Annual Crops Marketing and More, is open from October 1st through 5th. And you can visit thegardenersworkshop.com and see all of the enrollment dates. They only happen once a year for 5 days each. So friends, if you're getting excited, I'm right there with you, and we're ready to walk with you. So let's take a listen to the Flower Farming Mythbuster. Hey folks, welcome to the Gardener's Workshop Live, our weekly Friday night get-together here on Facebook. And this week, our topic is Flower Farming Mythbusters. And friends, I am here to talk about this because not only did I have some of my own myths are misunderstandings or whatever you want to call them, but based on the messages, the questions, and the posts that we're seeing, I just thought we're just going to go down the list of some of those really common questions or concerns that people have that really aren't true about flower farming, or it just may not apply. So before we jump into this with 2 feet, a couple of things. If you are already one of our online course students, we just love for you to make a comment and put the little sunflower emoji. That just helps people to kind of makes the community see who you are and see who others are. And that's something we do on all of our lives, and it's really fun. And if you see people that have more than one sunflower, those are folks that have taken multiple courses. So, this whole flower farming Mythbuster, there's myths that get said about all kinds of different things, right, in life. And I still hear some of the things that I learned were not true back 24 years ago or 23 years ago when I became a flower farmer. And so I'm just going to go down my list, and I would love if there is something that you've heard that somebody has said, oh, well, you have got to do it this way, or you can't be a flower farmer if you don't have, or if you can't, or if, anything. So I want to hear it, because we are going to be busting some myths wide open here. And y'all, if you haven't been following along with me, I kind of just tell it like it is and just totally and completely want to clear the air of some things. So out of the gate, one of the questions that people say, and I have to just tell you this, talking to the person, the guy that does our weed eating and mowing here on the farm, he's a landscape kind of guy, and he mows our place. And he made the statement to me yesterday, oh my gosh, you can't do that. So what I'm talking about is how much space do you need to have available to you to make a go of being a flower farmer? Because I was sharing with him this little project that I was going to do and how small the garden was going to be. He said, no way, you can never do that. And so I'm here to tell you, friends, you do not need to have acres. In fact, what I have learned, my first 10 years of flower farming was done on less than 2/4 acre gardens. And we produced thousands of stems of flowers each week in season. So it's until you're flower farming and farming, not gardening, y'all, farming, you can't fathom how many stems you can produce from a garden that is set up as a working commercial garden. And I also want to add that in my years of experience, those of us that are forced to start small because that's all we have at this point in time are oftentimes those people that go on to be the most successful over the long haul. And why is that? Because nothing scares me for a person more than when they say to me, oh my gosh, we just got 5 acres and we've already plowed up 3 acres and we're going to plan to put, annuals there, and we're working on woodies. And oh my gosh, y'all, 3 acres is so much space. At the height of our high production years, we never had more than 1.5 acres in production. And we were producing 10 to 15,000 stems of flowers a week from those fields. And no normal person really wants more than that, right? So people just grossly underestimate that. So I'm here to tell you that if you're starting in your backyard, or if you only have a 1/16 of an acre or a 1/2 acre or whatever you have, you can start your business and build from there. And I tell you, you learn to be a more efficient farmer to get the most out of what you actually have. And I will tell you just, I'll go down my first rabbit hole, right? Once years ago, my sister and I went to, back when I went to a meeting of the ASCFG, that's the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers. It was we called them regional meetings back then. And we went to a farm here on the East Coast that was much bigger. This is when I only had those 2/4 acre gardens, and we were servicing several florists and going to a big farmer's market. So we go to this farm and we're walking around touring, and my sister, who's not really a gardener, farmer kind of person, she just did the bouquet making. Anyway, we're walking around this bigger farm, and when we got in the car to go home, she said, you know, I'm thinking that you probably produce as many or more stems than they do. Theirs is just really spread out over a big area. And that, in fact, friends, is what oftentimes happens. So I want to say, you only have to have, you could do some subscriptions on a 20 by 25 foot garden space and get started. So that's number one. Do not think you have to have acres and acres. You can get started where you are. And another thing I just want to add, so we are landlocked in the middle of the city, right? We did have a neighbor that had a 40-acre horse boarding farm, and for a lot of different reasons, we never, ever, ever dreamed that we'd be able to buy a piece of that land. And we did. We were able to about 9 years ago. And so you never know what your future holds, but you got to get started, and you got to get started learning how to be a farmer. So here's another really big one, is I don't have a greenhouse, so I can't be a flower farmer. Y'all, I've been doing this now 23 years, and I still don't have a greenhouse. Everything I grow is outdoors in the field, and I do all of my seed starting work. I'm sitting in my work building, which I got this after, I think it was 3 or 4 years after I started farming. My flower farming actually paid to build this building. So you can be a flower farmer without a greenhouse and also without hoop houses. So the difference, a greenhouse is a structure that typically has heat, and is automated in some way. I mean, it has fans and sides that roll up potentially, but the big difference is it has heat. So greenhouses is what a lot of people assume you have to be able to start lots of seeds. So here in this building, and I did this literally in my bungalow home, in my kitchen, in my pantry, and in our cellar. I started seeds for the first, until this building was built in, I think the concrete says 2002. Well, I started flower farming in 1998. So for 4 years, I seed started in my tiny bungalow house, y'all. And also, of course, lived in there, right? And I was able to do that because of my experience that I came to know about soil blocking. But here in this building, what we set up is I have a 10 by 10 room that could be just like a spare bedroom that has grow lights and racks. And I can literally support up to 13,000 little soil block seedlings in that grow room until they go out to the field. So I'm saying to you, it is possible. Literally through the years, as we ramped up production and grew more and more each year, we were starting up to 100,000 soil blocked seedlings a year. That means like the cool flowers and the warm season flowers in 1 year in that grow room, and moving them through. Y'all, you just learn about the system and what you need to do. Now, hoop houses are structures that are usually just the wire hoops with plastic on them, tall, big, you can walk in them. And there is surely, what I want to also say about everything I am saying to you is these things that I'm saying you can start without, you will then start goal setting to get some of these things because they make you more efficient, more professional to be able to up your volume, okay? So I'm not saying you don't need them ever. I'm saying that you can get started and learn how to be a professional commercial cut flower farmer. And in fact, starting small like this is really the best way to learn. So a hoop house, what is different about that? A hoop house is typically where farmers will do one of two things, either actually grow in the ground, there's beds in there, and because of the structure covering, it protects the plants and the flowers from rain, gives you a little bit of season extension on both ends. And there are certainly benefits to that. But folks, I've never been able to do that. So I kind of made lemonade out of lemons and found how to squeeze the most out of field growing. And by doing that as a seasonal flower farmer, that's why I kind of, exploited cool season hardy annuals. Wrote a book about it called Cool Flowers. I mean, we start much earlier in the season from the field and get a much better cash crop. And if you do get to have a hoop house, that's going to just give you more opportunities to do other things. The other things that flower farmers do in hoop houses is they grow in crates, like bulbs, like lilies and tulips and different things. So hoop houses certainly are a benefit, but friends, you do not have to have a hoop house or a greenhouse to become a flower farmer. And then here's another really good one. I don't have a flower cooler, so I can't be a flower farmer. Well, folks, I am here to tell you that I was farming, you think I'd remember all these dates, but I don't. I was flower farming for about probably 6 or 7 years before I actually got a flower cooler. And so here is the workaround for this. Now, for sure, and you're going to hear, Monday, if you haven't seen it already, Jenny Love and I, if you don't know Jenny Love of Love and Fresh Flowers, she's like one of the foremost recognized farmer florists in the industry. She's a Philly flower farmer. She and I are doing a talk on Clubhouse on Monday called Two Flower Hustlers Talking the Hustle. Now, Jenny is a farmer florist. You would never attempt to be a farmer florist without having a flower cooler, most likely. But I was not a farmer florist. I was a farmer growing and selling to those types of people. And I just literally tweaked my crop production to those crops that I could get away without having a cooler. For instance, you would never grow tulips and peonies and lilies if you don't have a flower cooler, friends. I mean, I don't care how many customers you have. You will be a blooming hair. I mean, you'll have all your hair pulled out because those things open so quickly. So that's part of what we talk about in flower farming school. It's like there are tons of things you can grow without a cooler, but there are some things you just need to keep your hands off until you have a cooler. You goal set for that. You work towards that, and that's what I did. So you do not have to have a flower cooler. And I just can't even tell you how these things are so simple when you just go into it with your eyes wide open. And here's another really good one. I don't have a tractor. I can't be a flower farmer. Friends, I didn't have a tractor for probably 12 years. Now, I will livy that with saying I did have a tractor that had a plow. But we didn't really even use that in my garden for many years. Because my space was so small, you really couldn't use it. We actually inherited it from my dad. So literally, I used a walk-behind tiller. In my flower farming school course, I actually show you how to make beds by hand, meaning using a shovel, then how you can also do it with a walk-behind tiller, and then ultimately how you do it with a tractor with a bed maker. And it allows you to see where to meet you where you are now, but what you can aspire to. And all kinds of great ideas. Who knew that before I had a tractor, right here in the middle of the city, y'all, I do not live in farmland. I do not live with a lot of farmers even within an hour of me. And who knew that on my street in the middle of the city, there was a man that owned a tractor with a pull-behind tiller. Guess what? I used to hire him to come down here and till my big gardens when we were starting a season each year. There are so many options, and that's one of the things that I just love teaching people about in school is about, that's a gift of being an entrepreneur. You just got to bloom and figure it out. And that's what we help you do for your situation. So you do not have to have a tractor, y'all. That is another really big myth. And then the other one that I think people really extend themselves on in the beginning is having some kind of vehicle, a delivery vehicle. So I launched my career on growing flowers and selling to florists. And that was 100% based on, I was terrified to try to make mixed bunches, flat little handheld bouquets. I tried, and I was just such a bad maker of those things. So I decided that I would just 100% sell to florists, because I could make, straight bunches of a flower, right? But I didn't have a vehicle. And so I'm going to tell you what I did. But I read and I see so much on social media, y'all. We see other people doing things, and first off, we assume that's what should be done. Nothing could be further from the truth. Oftentimes, many of the folks that we're watching really haven't even been in the game for but a couple, 3 years, and really don't have a lot of experience. And I see people going out and investing in vehicles that are just for flower farming. I mean, I wasn't in a position to do that. I wasn't able to say, I'm going to make enough money to be profitable and to pay to buy a vehicle that my family can't use, right? So my fix for that, and I'll kind of tell you what my evolution was with a vehicle. So when I started, I was just delivering to florists. I hadn't started doing farmers markets or anything. This was in 1998, 99, and the year 2000. So my husband, Steve, actually had a pickup truck. But y'all have to know that this, for any of you people that know about anything about trucks, it was a 1978, this was in 1998, 1978 F-250 total redneck pickup truck. Big tires, 3-speed on the floor. The clutch was so tall I could barely get it to go all the way to the floor. And it sounded like the UPS truck coming down the road, right? So, I planted all these flowers. I had all these flowers. I had to find a way to get them to the florist that I had made contact with. So we literally bought a $100 mismatched truck cap. And my dad, who was a woodworker, made this really cool lightweight rack that we show pictures of, and I still have it. I haven't used it in years. But anyway, lightweight wooden rack that could just slide into the back of the truck that would hold the buckets. And y'all, that is literally what I drove for probably about 2 years. And that was the first purchase upgrade that I made as a flower farmer. So for 2 years, I drove that truck. I mean, my florist used to kid about, oh yeah, we know when Lisa's coming, we can hear her coming down the block, this big redneck truck, right? So the first purchase I made as a business person flower farmer is I bought a new truck. I still didn't buy a specific for flower delivery truck. I bought a new pickup truck, bought a cap that matched, and I used that same wooden rack. Because friends, here's the thing. The method that I used to sell my flowers is I didn't cold call. I sold all my flowers on the phone before they ever left my farm. And so that meant that I wasn't going from shop to shop, hemming and hawing and dragging flowers in and out. My truck was packed in the order that I delivered. And so for 3 years, that was my delivery vehicle, and it worked beautifully. I'm just sharing ideas of how you can bootstrap. I am by no means saying you should not start out as a professional, legitimate business. I am saying that you can bootstrap and nobody but you knows that you're bootstrapping. Yeah, my florist could see my truck, but let me just tell you that none of them had any idea until I had my first open house, probably about 2 years after I started farming. I invited my commercial customers to come on a Sunday to walk around my farm. They were flabbergasted over how small my gardens were. They just could not believe the volume that I sold to them, and that how small my space was. So friends, these are just some of the myths that I'm busting. You don't have to have bunch of acres. You can have a small space. You do not have to have a greenhouse. You do not have to have a hoop house. You do not have to have a tractor. You don't even have to have a tiller. If you can rent the space. And, you know, I also want to say that the people that start out that are driven enough, like I was, like Jenny Love was, these people that we literally had no experience. We weren't, Jenny did come from a big farming family, but did not have, I mean, she's in Philly, and she, like me, is in the middle of the city. We just did it. We were ambitious enough to find a way to do it. So I also want to say that at the head of this Facebook feed, if you want to have a little look inside my course, we have a sneak peek you can request. I think it's the irrigation session. You can request that and have a look. Flower Farming School is, registration is open. It opened at 8 o'clock this morning, and y'all, we've already been blown away. Registration is only open for 5 days a year. And people don't really understand why that is. First off, our courses are delivered over a 6-week period, meaning each week you get more and more sessions to watch. And each week you have a live Q&A coaching session with me. And we go through all the questions that have been submitted, and then I also take some from the floor if we have time that allows. And friends, the instructors are so interactive in that way, as well as we man closed Facebook groups. And because most of our instructors are actually still flower farming, right? So they can't do it for a lot of the year. So we only offer the courses once a year when the instructors are literally available to teach the class. Even though the courses are actually recorded, you still have so much interaction with your instructor. So the facts. If you're interested in the course, go to thegardenersworkshop.com. The course, the online courses is right there on the page. Go to my course. My course is the only one that's open now. Jenny Love's Farmer Florist course will open in a couple of weeks. Then a couple of weeks after that, we have Ellen Frost's Growing Your Business with Local Flower Sourcing. And then after that is the Hoops, Grow and Cut Flowers in Hoop and Greenhouses with Steve and Gretel. So we do them one at a time so that people can really evaluate the courses, and that's what I want to encourage you to do now. Friends, there is so much information on the course pages. There's videos that you can watch. There are student testimonials. There's videos to watch, or you can read their success stories and their actual reviews of the course. What I want to say to you is that, are you a dabbler, or are you somebody that really wants to start a business? We have tons of people that are attempting to become commercial cut flower growers, but they just haven't taken that plunge. And I call them dabblers, not in any disrespectful way, but to say they're growing flowers and they're working at it. They're working so hard, but they aren't quite equipped enough to really do it. And then we have those that are. What I'm leading up to say to you, friends, is that I get this question all the time too, and let's just blow this one out of the water and put it to bed. Aren't there already too many flower farmers? Friends, if you knew the facts of the, of the cut flower industry, you wouldn't be asking me that. Here are the facts. There is over $7 billion of cut flowers sold in the United States alone each year. That is 7 billion with a B, friends, not million. $7 billion of cut flowers sold in the United States alone each year. 80% of those flowers are imported from distant lands. There is no ceiling for the number of domestic growers that we can cultivate in this country until that number has drastically shrunk. And I don't think that'll ever happen even in my lifetime. That's the honest to goodness truth. What cut flower growers have to do is become professional. And y'all, that's a big part of my course. It's like, I know that people have never been business owners. They don't understand why you have to do the certain things that people tell you to do. It's like, I'm not doing that. That costs too much, or that's too much trouble. We really ground you in what to do and why you have to do it. We have to become professionals. We have to make it easier for the professional florists and designers to buy from us. You have to see just how easy it is for them to go online and buy from wholesalers. And friends, it has never been easier for us to get into this trade now with the flower shortages. It is, Ellen Frost and I have been talking about this for like 16 months. It is now worse than ever. Florists and designers cannot find the flowers that they need. Their orders are being canceled. The problems that are causing that, I'm not going to talk about, but I will tell you this, it is not going to be resolved anytime soon, for years. And so now is our time to shine. And when we step in to these booths that have been left empty and show these florists and designers the quality and the quantity that we can produce, they have myths about us that you wouldn't even believe, y'all. And we have to blow them out of the water. And we have to do that through service, example, being honest and hard work and showing them what we've got. And then even if the global supply chain kicks back in, they're already going to be seeing they have a better product, close to home, keeping the money in their community, so many things. So friends, what I want to offer to you is I want you to go to my course page at thegardenersworkshop.com and just take 20 minutes and just scroll the page and read all the different bits of information that are available. The syllabus is there. There's actually a podcast on my podcast, Field and Garden, on whatever your favorite app is. You can go there. And a podcast about 5 podcasts in, it's called Revealing the Flagship Course of Flower Farming School. And that is me running you through the syllabus of what each session is kind of about. That's another one. Keep looking. You can go all the way to the bottom of the page and it shows you how you can go and see how our courses work. There's a podcast of me claiming the style of our courses. Friends, our courses are just like going to a conference. They're slideshows with a mix of video and images and talking. Our course is so jam-packed with information, I'm just going to explode your head. And so there's everything you need is on that course page. And I'm saying this because we get constant messages from people that aren't realizing that. So you just have to say, all right, I'm going to sit down here for 20 minutes and read the page and see where there's videos you can watch from our students. There are things you can read. There's how the courses work, what's in the course, what to expect, when it starts, how much it is. It's $595. We do have a payment plan. You can split it out over 2. So registration is now open, and it will be open until Tuesday night at midnight. And then it won't enroll again until next October. And friends, I want to tell you that if you are having flat sales, overcome with weeds, you still haven't figured out how to sell, and I can tell you it is not scary at all when you go about it in the right way, you need to take flower farming school. I mean, let us help you get from A to B in 6 weeks instead of it taking you a year, wasting money, wasting time, wasting energy, wearing yourself and your family out, and it just takes all your morale. And I wanted to, and I've been talking a lot about this, we lose so many excellent potential cut flower growers because they never make it to the end of the long, slow road that they have chosen. And what happens is they keep spinning their wheels and they never get traction. They throw in the bucket. I read the posts all the time. Oh, you can't make money doing this. Well, you can't the way they were going about it. There are many of us it's hard work, don't get me wrong, but you have to do the right things, and that's what we help you do, to forget about the things you shouldn't be doing. We're going to tell you to mark those things off your list. Friends, you do not have to work from sun up to sundown. You can have a life. You can be a flower farmer, be focused, and make it a part of your life, not to be your life. All right, folks. I want to also bring another portion of this into focus. Is there has never been a better time for the locally grown flower industry to shine. There are so many empty boots, y'all, whether it's growers, event florists, flower farmer florists. People are exhausted after going through this last 16 months of the pandemic. It's kind of cleared the field, but then you add in the additional problem that the global supply chain has really just had concrete poured in it. It is just really in a mess, and that is just fueling a forest fire for local growers, which was really good in the very beginning, and it's still good, don't get me wrong, but it is overwhelming people. What I'm getting at is there has never been a better time to join the locally grown flower industry. And what's holding you back? And I want to say that if you think that you don't have the time, money, energy, or support to do it, to become a flower farmer, or to take that plunge into even being a farmer florist, or whatever the next step is for you, guess what? Every one of us feels that way. Nobody ever feels like they're prepared, that they're ready. But here is what the nugget I want you to take away today. You have what it takes. This is my little gentle kick in the britches to get you up and moving. And we're here to help you do it. And there has just been no better time. And I know that flower farmers are hot and exhausted and tired right now. But friends, this is your wake-up call, your glimmer of hope. So if you want to learn more about the course, my course, or any of our courses, I'm putting the links below in the show notes, as well as you can visit thegardenersworkshop.com and go to the online courses. If an enrollment is not open for the course that you're interested in, I encourage you to sign up to get on the wait list. What that means is that instructor will be sending you lots of great resources. And also we will email you when enrollment opens and when it's closing. That way you won't miss that opportunity. So friends, if you want to join with us, if you want to fill some of these empty boots, we're here to walk with you to get you going up, because I am a true believer that good starts, meaning starting out equipped, leads to success quicker, which we know leads to more long-term success. I want to help you build a business that's going to go the long haul, just like mine has. And it's all about mindset, y'all. It's not about what you have. It's about the way you go about it. And, oh, friends, I could just go on, but I'm not. So, folks, until we meet again, don't let some of these myths bust your flower farming dream. Ciao.